Hello, I am Gord, and it's time for another one of those videos where I talk about the movies I saw last year and get demonetized instantly for showing footage that's from trailers on YouTube. Like a big fool. I didn't get the chance to see as many films as I usually do, due to, being focused on moving out and life stuff. So the structure of this one's going to be a little bit different. Instead of a top 10 like I've been doing, I'm just going to narrow it down to the movies I think were actually worth talking about, regardless of whether I thought the film was good or bad. Also, I'm not going to bring up movies I've already made videos about, so these two are out of the discussion as well. But just so you know, these are the movies I've seen this year that I did not deem worth talking about in this video. And this is what I thought about them. Let's skip any more preamble and talk about some movies so my money is not wasted. If there was one movie that made me realize 2024 was going to be tough for film, it was certainly If. I had quite high hopes for this one. Felt like it had great potential to be something memorable, or at least a fun night out with the family. For those who don't know, If is about a girl who gets roped into a business of trying to find old imaginary friends, new kids to be friends with. Or, actually, it's about imaginary friends trying to become friends with their original kids again? It sort of seems like the opposite of what the initial plan was, but whatever. For some reason, If seems to abandon its original plot halfway through the movie and go in a different direction for the rest of it. There's not much rhyme or reason to it, and it results in a movie that consists of two different general ideas squeezed together due to what I assume is conflicts in the writing room, and that ends up with the movie kind of being inconclusive by the end of it. I will admit the music was beautiful. I'm a sucker for Michael Giacchino scores, but the movie loses a lot of its pizzazz after they abandon the original idea of trying to get old imaginary friends to new kids. I wish I could have seen the version of the movie where they went all in on the first idea, but I suppose I'll have to imagine that. Moana 2 was something to talk about indeed. Word around the street is that the film was originally supposed to be a Disney Plus TV show, and you can definitely tell. This movie is in a big rush to tell you about basically nothing. I mean, I don't think expanding it into a full Disney Plus show would help the story due to how anything. Just think of any positive word and put the prefixes un or non in front of it. That's how I felt about the plot of this movie. It's a very inoffensive and boring movie until the last 10 minutes when it suddenly veers into being mildly engaging. And honestly, that's a very smart move on Disney's part. If you save the best part of your film until the very end, it doesn't matter how terrible the stuff before it was. The good ending will cushion the rest of the awful movie, and people will walk out going, "Well, I thought it was okay," when it very clearly wasn't. Very smart move. Got some big brains on those Disney demons. But yeah, no, those last 10 minutes cannot justify, the hour and a half of boredom before it. Or maybe I'm just out of touch. Could it be that I'm getting too old for these kind of movies? Nonsense! It's just not a good film! Now, Twisters is different from the other two movies I've talked about, because I actually had consistent enjoyment. But I don't think it was the writer's intention for me to enjoy it as much as I did, and in the way that I did. Twisters is simultaneously one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and one of the funniest. The character choices, the dialogue, the character dynamics, they're all so asinine that they 180 into being really humorous, almost as if the movie is an abridged version of itself. Now, I won't say it was a majority enjoyment. Half of the movie is god-awful, but it's made up for by the other half being genuinely funny, albeit unintentionally. It's like the movie is constantly metronoming between a 10 out of 10 and a 1 out of 10 at all times. It's such a wacky energy to have, and as long as you're not taking it too seriously, it makes for a lot of fun. What helped with giving this movie the score it did was the fact that I was watching it with my little brother, and he did not see the humor in it at all. Seeing the reaction of someone more irritated by the shitty writing amplified the humor a considerable amount. I can't recommend watching terrible movies with people to frustrate them enough. It's just so funny. Just don't do that too much or they won't like you anymore probably. Also, the main takeaway I took from the plot is that the YouTuber always gets the girl. So, kind of a boost for my ego. Now we can move into the movies I can say I actually enjoyed genuinely, more than ironically. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is definitely the best of the trilogy so far, and if you, as a parent, are taking your kid to see Mufasa instead, I feel sorry for your poor, poor baby. It's the most recent film I've seen as of making this script, which could change. I have no idea how long it'll take to get this video out, but that's besides the point. This movie feels the most Sonic out of any of the movies. The second film had the sauce for a little bit towards the end, but the third one is consistent quality all the way through. You gotta love this stuff, and what they did with Shadow was very good. I was worried Keanu Reeves might phone in his vocal performances, but it seems like he did quite a good job. And then phoned in his performances in the games.
Looks like I've kept my disformed abilities. It looks like how Maria described the Earth. Huh. What a waste of time.
I will say my one major gripe is the tone of the movie, or tones, I should say, plural. With the heavy subject matter of Shadow and Maria's backstory, this movie tries to tug at your heartstrings quite a bit with the emotional tones. However, it also tries very hard to be a funny comedy movie. Obviously, those two things are not mutually exclusive. There are plenty of funny movies that have emotional moments in them and vice versa. I'm just not super sold on how they did it in this movie. They seem to sandwich little over-the-top comedic bits in between the parts they want you to take seriously, in a way that feels kind of shoehorned in. There's a scene towards the end that I won't state out loud, but most people will sort of understand what I'm talking about if they've seen the movie. That scene in particular definitely reinforces my stance, but really the movie overall has a lot of scenes transitioning into the opposite tones of the previous, which gives a sort of whiplash that can be a little disorienting. I wouldn't say it ruins the movie for me, just be prepared to be a little confused. All in all, a very good movie, and looking at the post-credit scenes, I am immensely curious for how the fourth movie is going to play out. Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul. For those who don't know, which is probably all of you, I am quite fond of this little claymation series. Time and time again, I'm surprised with the stuff they can do in that medium. And those writers got some real funny heads on them as well. Though I'm not certain Vengeance Most Foul has the same charm as the other movies. I can't think of any particular reasons why, but I didn't find myself as enamored by it in comparison to, let's say, Curse of the Were-Rabbit, or The Wrong Trousers, or even A Close Shave. Maybe it was the tone? Definitely felt different from the other cartoons. Maybe the writing? That certainly felt different from the former films as well. It doesn't make it a bad film by any means, no. With how long I had known this movie was coming out for, I sort of made a perfect image of a Wallace and Gromit film in my head, and I suppose Vengeance Most Foul didn't live up to it, but that's on me. I'm not going to blame the movie for that. It's a fine addition to the series, and I cannot wait to learn any information about the next one, if they even have one planned. Now we can get into what I feel was the best movie from this year that I watched. There might be a better movie out there, but I didn't have the time or money to see it. My favorite movie of this year was undoubtedly, unequivocally, absolutely, without a doubt... Stop the drum roll! Jesus! You gotta get better about the timing of that, man. That just went on and on and on. Come on now. Anyways, it's The Wild Robot. DreamWorks has sort of taught me to expect the unexpected when it comes to the quality of their movies. Puss in Boots 2 and The Bad Guys both surprised me in ways I didn't think they could. And I was not expecting The Wild Robot to be as good of a film as it was, but then you tell me they got this guy on it? Oh, this is gonna be a movie. The Wild Robot is a very heartwarming story about the trials and tribulations of being a parent and watching your child outgrow you, and how that affects a mother. It's also a story about a robot becoming progressively more sentient and emotive as it learns about the environment, people, and emotions around it. It's a combination of themes I would not think of combining for a story, and DreamWorks pulled it off with excellence. I nearly cried like 3 separate times throughout the whole movie. On top of having a strong story, the visuals and music of the film are phenomenal. Not quite as good as the look of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, but it certainly was amazing in its own right. If I ever have kids, this'll be a classic around the house. It's such a good film. So many fun moments and engaging scenes, but I'd rather you go and watch it for yourself rather than have me spoil it all. So I'll just slap my official 10 out of 10 seal of approval on it, and you can go see if I'm right or wrong, in your opinion. And that was all the movies I saw in 2024 and what I wanted to talk about regarding them. Aside from the ones I've talked about previously, I'm honestly not sure I'll do another one of these next year, because depending on how good or bad the year was for films, it's either a video of me running through a bunch of movies at once, or it's a video of me saying, "Oh, I already talked about this movie in another video, go watch that one." We'll have to see how 2025 is in terms of cinema. I'll also try and make an effort to see more kinds of movies. I normally don't have the budget to see all the movies I want to in theaters, and there's quite a few I missed out on last year. But if I do another one of these, I'll try and have a little more variety, okay? Any horse, it's about time to close up shop, so let's roll the credits. Follow me on my TikTok, Twitter, and Blue Sky. I post on them, and you know how social media works. You can follow me in whatever. There's also a Discord server. Mine, in particular, I mean. The Hoose of Goose. There you can hang out with other people who are fans of me and punch out and all that crap, you know. You can also talk to me and my friends, the stream team. And hey, become a channel member. I call them headliners because it's a cooler name. You get access to emotes on stream, a channel in the Discord server that's private to you, your name in the credits of videos, a little doodle alongside your name, voting on the priority of videos. There's quite a lot of benefits for being only like $3 a month. If you make some art of me, Goose, or any of my friends, and you want it to be in this little slideshow at the end, tag me in it on social media or send it in the fan art channel of my Discord server, and I'll put it at the end of my videos. I think that's about it from me for now. My name is Goose. I thank you very much for watching, and be careful out there today. Now get lost!